Now, from the news team that's covering the Carolinas, this is Channel 9 Eyewitness News Daybreak at 6.
Your utility rates could take a big jump. The two reasons Duke Energy says it's asking the state today for permission to charge more. We are breaking down how much it could cost you.
And no doubt, you've got your heat cranked up this morning. We're waking up to some of the coldest temperatures so far this season. Many places, take a look, already in the 20s. Looks like no one is above freezing right now. We're going to check the timeline for when warmer temperatures will build back in. And check this out here. Those snowmakers working some overtime up in the mountains. This is a live look at Sugar Mountain Ski Resort. You see, they've already accumulated a few inches. They got a nice little base going there this morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Paul.
And I'm Brittany Johnson. You're going to want to have your jacket, your hat, maybe even your gloves as you head out. It is one of the coldest days so far this season. Meteorologist Keith Monday is in Severe Weather Center 9. You've been tracking the timeline for a warm-up. Keith?
Well, it'll warm up a little today, but unfortunately, it's going to take a while before that happens. We're 24 degrees colder. This time yesterday morning, it's over 30 degrees colder. Down in the southeast, we saw that breeze early yesterday that kept the temps up in the 40s and 50s. Widespread 20s out there now. We've fallen to 27 in Charlotte, coldest morning of the season by far. 25 in Attleboro. It's bitter cold, 24 up in Lincolnton. Now, as the morning goes on here, it's going to take until about 8:30 before we get back to the freezing point. Lower 40s thereafter by 9 o'clock. Highs today, well, only warming in the 50s, but it stays beautifully sunny and dry. If you're getting a jump start in those travel plans, I'll have the outlook around the region today and how the weather pattern may actually stay pretty calm as we head our way through this holiday week. 6 o'clock, let's get you out there on the roads for traveling locally this morning. What's going on, Mark?
Well, we got a couple of accidents we're watching. Luckily, not having a huge impact, but we continue to monitor 485 out towards Pineville Outer Loop near South Boulevard. There was reports of an accident, but both directions you can see we're still in the green. Drive time technology not picking up on any big slowdowns there. Or as well as South Tryon, there's a minor wreck up towards Camden Road heading into South End this morning. And if you want to jump on South Boulevard, you can, but no big slowdowns for that wreck. And as we look closer towards Uptown, 77 near Train Street. So the interstate's also looking great, Keith. Northbound up towards the Brookshire, southbound to the John Belk Freeway. No obstacles to get around so far. John?
A major story that Channel 9 is following for your day ahead. The fight to increase your energy bill begins today in Raleigh.
The State Utilities Commission will hear Duke Energy's reasoning for wanting to hike rates. As Eyewitness News reporter Mark Barber explains, one of those reasons is to pay for coal ash cleanup.
Brittany, Duke Energy wants to charge the average household an extra 16.7% a year. We ran the numbers to see how much that would cost your family every year, and that amounts to an extra $200 just to keep the power up and running. Duke Energy says that it wants to raise rates to modernize power plants, generate cleaner electricity, and safely close coal ash basins across the state. That's right. That last part is key. Duke Energy is trying to pass the costs for its multi-billion-dollar coal ash cleanup onto you. There's another problem. There is still uncertainty over who is deciding whether you'll pay more. The State Utilities Commission is deciding if Duke can raise your rates, but they don't even have a full commission. Channel 9 told you last month they still have nominees waiting to be approved. Even so, the sitting members are still going to move forward and hear testimony in this today. Starting at 10 o'clock this morning in Raleigh, they'll be listening to opening arguments from Duke Energy, again in Raleigh. Live here in South End, Mark Barber, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
And you can count on Channel 9 to follow every development out of today's hearing. Watch Eyewitness News today, starting at 5 for complete coverage. Your time is now 6:02. Breaking news overnight, cult leader Charles Manson has died.
Yeah, the 83-year-old died of natural causes last night in California.
Eyewitness News anchor Blaine Tollison is in the Breaking News Center now with a look at the infamous killings that put him behind bars for life.
He was notorious for ordering members of his so-called family to commit a string of murders in 1969. The crimes and the trial shocked the world.
I'm a convict. I'm an outlaw. I'm a rebel. I'm not a Sunday school teacher.
A man who convinced other people to commit murder for him. ABC's Diane Sawyer interviewed Charles Manson back in 1993.
I never told anybody to do anything other than what they wanted to do.
In August of 1969, Manson ordered 4 of his followers to go to a home in Beverly Hills and kill everyone inside. In all, 5 people died, including actress Sharon Tate, wife of director Roman Polanski. She was 8.5 months pregnant. The next day, Manson took his followers to Leno and Rosemary LaBianca's house. He didn't stay for the murders, but left his young disciples with a message.
If you're gonna do something, leave something witchy.
They did. Messages written on the walls in their victims' blood. The jury found Manson and 3 women guilty, and they were all sentenced to death.
That sentence would eventually be commuted to life in prison. Manson was denied parole 12 times and, of course, eventually died in custody. John.
Also breaking overnight, Highway Patrol has identified the man killed in a crash on I-85 in West Charlotte. We brought you this story yesterday morning and brought you live updates throughout Eyewitness News on Sunday morning. Troopers say that Kelly Mason of Bessemer City died after rear-ending a tractor trailer around 5 a.m. on 85 northbound near exit 30. Now, the crash shut down the northbound lanes for nearly 4 hours. No one else was hurt. We checked overnight, and fire investigators in Union County are still trying to figure out what caused a fire at Carolina Waterfowl Rescue.
At least 30 birds died in that fire last night, and dozens more will now have to undergo treatment. Rescue staffers say the fire started around 6:30 in an outlet in a barn. That barn is where birds are kept while still undergoing treatment after they're out of an animal hospital. The rescue group now needs your help because they say that treatment to save the remaining 50 chickens, ducks, and geese will be costly and take days.
We are not federally funded, all by volunteer donations, so any monetary donations would be fabulous, would really help us out at this very sad and tragic time.
And we have posted a link on WSOCTV.com where you can donate to the Waterfowl Rescue. Just look inside of this story on our homepage.
Right now, it is 6:05, and tonight, Cabarrus County school officials will vote on the controversial sex survey. You'll remember parents thought some of the questions on the first survey about sexual behavior were inappropriate. A new survey asks a question about abstinence and if students have ever used drugs or alcohol. Parents would be able to opt their children out. Cabarrus County school leaders will also consider more proposals to an already controversial boundary issue pending the superintendent's recommendation. Royal Oaks Elementary School is set to open next year, and the district wants to move students from other schools to fill it. Parents have been upset because most of these options include shutting down Beverly Hills Elementary. There are 2 new scenarios, though, now outlined on the district's website. Scenario E would include closing Beverly Hills and increases the Mount Pleasant Elementary boundary. Scenario F would keep Beverly Hills open and lessen the impact on Weinkauf Elementary and Charles E. Boger Elementary. There are now a total of 6 scenarios for school leaders to consider. The superintendent will make that recommendation to the board tonight. The next public hearing is December 4th, followed by a board vote on the 10th. And before Cabarrus County school leaders leave for the night, they'll have to look at a $4.6 million proposal to build a new elementary school in Harrisburg. The Independent Tribune reports the new school will be able to accommodate more rooms for smaller class sizes. This is planned to open in August of 2019. Watch Eyewitness News at 10 and 11 for complete coverage from tonight's Board of Education meeting.
New this morning, in the last 2 hours, the deadline set by Zimbabwe's ruling party for President Robert Mugabe to leave office passed. Now, this could lead to Mugabe's impeachment as soon as today in Parliament. Yesterday, Mugabe spoke from the State House in the capital, saying he would not step aside. Tonight, mothers of murdered offspring will hold an emergency unity prayer vigil. The group will be joined by members of the Million Youth March of Charlotte and Salisbury. They plan to pray for peace for Charlotte and the surrounding areas, starting at 6:30 at Camp Green Park on Allegheny Street. Charlotte has had 79 homicides so far this year.
New this morning, the White House says the true cost of the opioid epidemic in 2015 was $504 billion. The Council of Economic Advisors says the cost is more than 6 times larger than the most recent estimates. The council says previous estimates did not properly reflect the number of fatalities blamed on opioids. Last month, President Trump declared opioid abuse a national public health emergency. Trump announced an advertising campaign to combat what he says is the worst drug crisis in the U.S. history, but no new federal funding for this. The government says nearly 100 people a day die from opioid abuse. The head doctor of Gaston County Hospital says there is no easy solution to this opioid crisis. Dr. Todd Davis from Caramont Health told our partners at the Gazette the root of this epidemic goes back to the early 90s when opioid prescriptions became standard care. Then pharmaceutical companies aggressively marketed the drugs. Davis says communities need to work together to solve the crisis.
6:08 right now. A thrilling end to the NASCAR Cup Series championship. The Final Four battling to the end down in Homestead. Take a look. Martin Truex Jr. was able to hold off challenger Kyle Busch for the win and his first championship. You can see it was an emotional moment for Truex Jr. He was joined on stage by longtime girlfriend Sherry Pollux, who has battled ovarian cancer. And it was the final race for a NASCAR legend. Every pit crew member saluting Dale Earnhardt Jr. before his retirement from NASCAR. Dale Jr. finished 25th, capping off an incredible racing career. He says the weight of the moment hit him when he saw team owner Rick Hendrick.
I didn't cry till I was hugging Rick's neck, man. He's been like a father to me, and the things that he's done for me, I will miss trying to make him proud.
Dale finishes his career with 26 Cup Series wins. He was voted the series' most popular driver 14 years straight. That is incredible. The time is now 6:09. Starting off very, very cold out there this morning.
Run out of words to describe this. So let's get to meteorologist Keith Monday. Maybe he's got a few more for us.
I don't know. Yeah. Bitterly, bone chilling. Yeah, you name it. It is out there this morning. Crystal clear, and that's part of the problem. That's allowing the temperatures to keep bottoming out this morning. The wind is much more calm than it was yesterday, so there's a little bit of frost out there as well. It looks pretty, but it doesn't feel pretty out there as the chill remains. Crystal clear sky here across the southeast as our flow of wind will be much lighter today. The only real issues in the east will be some lake effect snows across upstate New York, parts of New England seeing a few flakes. All dry through the Midwest today. In a busy travel week underway for you with some rain across the Northwest, back through Washington and Oregon, Northern Rockies seeing some snows there. So those are the only real travel issues that we're going to see for today. And as we get closer to that really busy travel day on Wednesday, there may not be a whole lot of problems out there. We'll show in the futurecast, though, where there will be a few spots, or at least some wet weather could get in the way of your travel plans. Now let's get you out there on the roads for traveling around here this morning. Almost 6:11. What's going on, Mark?
It's been a quiet start overall. We had some minor problems being investigated. 485 out of Pineville. Never saw any big delays there. Out towards South Boulevard on that outer loop. 85 coming in from Gaston County looking great. This is from Bessemer City, just passing Kings Mountain, heading over towards Edgewood Road. 321 also heading into McCannville this morning. Right now, drive time showing it's too early for any delays at 70 miles per hour, the average speed at 18 minutes from 321 into Uptown. And then 85 out of Bruton Smith coming down from Concord through the University area. Also, no big slowdowns. Brittany?
Tonight, hundreds of families will get a special treat from Panthers quarterback Cam Newton.
Yeah, he's hosting his annual Thanksgiving Jam. This is video from last year's event. Cam invited more than 800 children and their families to Top Golf tonight. It's his 5th year in a row now serving Thanksgiving meals to those in need. Channel 9 will be there with Cam. We'll give you a peek into the fun tonight on Eyewitness News at 10 and 11.